Please be seated. Freemen of the Borough, distinguished and civic guests, Mr. Mayor, councillors, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Freedom Ceremony. The purpose of this extraordinary council meeting is to confer the Honorary Freedom of the Borough upon Mr. Norman Moorsom. Agenda item 2, apologies for absence. Are there any apologies for absence?
Chair, we have apologies from Councillors Davison, Verness, Kabuye, McConnell, Thompson and Tranter.
Thank you. Agenda item 3, declarations of interest. Thank you. Thank you. Any further absentees? Councillor Coop? Thank you. Agenda item 3, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest this evening? Thank you. Agenda item 4, communications. Are there any communications this evening?
Chair, there are no announcements or communications for this meeting.
Thank you. Agenda item 5, resolution freedom of the Borough. I call upon the Chief Exec to read out the motion in respect of Mr. Moorsom's admission to the honorary freedom of the Borough.
That Mr. Norman Moorsom, being a person who has rendered eminent service to the Borough of Middlesbrough, within the meaning and in pursuance of the provisions of Section 249, subsection 5 of the Local Government Act 1972, as amended by the Local Democracy, Economic Development and Construction Act 2009, be admitted as a recipient of the Honorary Freedom of the Borough of Middlesbrough, in recognition and appreciation of that eminent service, the detailed particulars whereof are recorded on the certificate presented to him this day. That the certificate of admission to the honorary freedom of the borough be presented to the said Mr. Norman Moorsom.
I invite the Mayor of Middlesbrough to propose the motion for the admission of Mr. Moorsom of the honorary freedom of the borough.
I propose the motion as read by the Chief Executive.
I invite Councillor Clinch to second the motion.
Seconded, Chair.
Mayor Cook, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, thank you. Today is a good day as we are here to honour Norman and all the work that he has done for our town, for our history and for our heritage. Whilst being quite a young town, we have went through some significant change over the almost 200 years. And Norman has documented so much of this so accurately, so diligently, and kept our heritage alive. Whilst looking into some of the works that Mr. Norman has done, one of the things that was very clear was in Middlesbrough alone, we keep in our libraries and in our hubs 10 of the pieces of work that he has already completed, which is a fraction of the amount of books that he has written in total. We should be very proud that someone has taken such a loving care of the history of our town, the history of our people, and the history of the cultures that live here, as well as some of our most iconic and most beloved buildings. So here today, I would hope you would all join me in paying thanks and tribute to Norman for the work he's so diligently done over his many years.
Councillor Clinch, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Chair. It gives me great pride to be seconding the freedom of the borough this evening to a fellow teacher. Norman trained to teach at St John's College of Education in York and taught for 10 years in secondary schools in Middlesbrough. Norman went on to be an officer for the Museum School Service and the local history officer for Cleveland County Libraries. To this day, Norman still has an impact on educating children in Middlesbrough. Norman's book, A Journey Through the History of Middlesbrough, still has a place on my classroom shelf and has been used to create my lessons on the history of Middlesbrough. As Norman explains in his book, Middlesbrough has a long history, including before the Victorian history of an infant Hercules. When teaching our local history, it's important that a connection is built for the students, so they feel they are part of that history. Norman's book helps teachers to build this connection, especially through his collection of photos, drawings and documents that help bring history to life. Local history is a precious commodity, and it is easy to allow history of towns like Middlesbrough to be lost to time. Only through the work of local historians like Norman will it be remembered and taught to future generations. I wish to finish with a phrase borrowed from Norman himself in his book. He talks of a handshake with history. His books have enabled this to become a reality for people across this town for many years. They feel they gain a deeper connection with our town, with places they know and with primary sources to read. And I'd like to put on record my thanks to Norman's lifetime of work, and may it continue to shake the hand of history for many years to come. Thank you, Chair.
Are there any councillors present who wish to briefly speak to the motion this evening? Councillor Henman.
Thank you, Chair. I have the pleasure of being Norman's ward councillor, and I spoke to Norman on the doorstep recently, electioneering, and had a fantastic chat with him about local history that I remembered for some time. I think that history is such an important thing, and our history in Middlesbrough is so fascinating. It's not a history full of grand battles and kings and queens, but it's the history of all of us, and it's full of shipbuilding and trade unions and iron and steel and Wild West shows and immigration and pubs and the rest. It's our history, and we know about so much of that history because of Norman's work and Norman's books. I think that it is clear that he shows such a huge passion for our town, and it's a pleasure to be here playing a part in this ceremony tonight. I was thinking earlier about the first person who had the freedom of the borough conferred upon them, which was William Fallows, who was really one of the fathers of our town. He was our first harbour master. He was a shipping agent, built the first church in Middlesbrough. He was a Justice of the Peace. He was a councillor elected in 1853. He was mayor in 1859, and he was given the freedom of the borough in 1886. And in 1997, he had the honour of being the subject of a biography written by Norman. And I think that it is really fitting that Norman's name will join William's on the board in our council chamber of freemen and women of our borough for future generations to see for many years to come. So it's a real privilege, and I'd like to wish congratulations on Norman. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other councillors that wish to speak? Councillor.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I just want to say, as a fellow historian who has written, although not as prolifically as Mr. Moorsom, on the area, just a personal thanks, who, as a student of the history of our town, Mr. Moorsom has pulled together and curated such a wealth of information, such a wealth of knowledge that has helped myself and a number of other, and many other students of Middlesbrough and our town throughout the year. So again, I just wanted to say a thank you for that. And I have many books and dotted around my house produced by him, which I will keep and hopefully pass on to my children. But again, thank you for myself and for the many students of Middlesbrough for the work that you have done, who have helped us in our own studies.
Thank you. Is there any other councillors that would wish to speak briefly to the motion this evening? Thank you. Are there any other persons present who wish to speak briefly to the motion this evening? Thank you. If we can pass the microphones around.
Hiya. Norman's been a huge influence on this town's history, and when I nominated Norman for this award, I don't think there could have been anyone more deserving in this award. It's inspired not just my generation of historians, but several generations of historians, and people, going forwards will turn to Norman's work. He's a fantastic person. He's always advocating for the town, its history, its heritage, its built environment. And I don't think there's anyone more deserving, and it seems a very timely award for Norman to be here, to be celebrated by the town that he so dearly loves. And I'm sure, not just the councillors here, but the whole town is very proud, and that came across very strongly in terms of the response to the newspaper articles, the press release from the council, social media. hundreds of people responded and talked about how Norman inspired them as a teacher at Lambar, how he was, inspired them through the council services, and even into retirement. Norman says he's retired, but even now he's still active, and he's an inspiration for all of us. And Middlesbrough could do with a lot more people like Norman Moorsom, and also just at this juncture as well. Obviously tonight we were looking to celebrate Alan Peacock, who sadly passed away 2 weeks ago. But both Alan and Norman are fantastic examples of people coming from Middlesbrough and inspiring people in the town and far beyond as well. So a huge congratulations from me and Abigail as well. Thank you.
Thank you. What wonderful words to hear from people around the room, and it's clear to see from the family that sat next to you tonight, Norman, the smiles and the real proud and pride that you see on your face. I would now like to put the motion to the meeting and invite the monitor officer to take a vote.
Thank you, Chair. So just to be clear, this vote is for councillors only to participate in. So, councillors, could I see a show of hands for those in favour of the motion? Thank you. The motion is carried.
I now invite Mr. Moorsom to join myself, the Chief Exec, and the monitoring officer at the table.
Mr. Moorsom, will you, Norman Moorsom, swear to be true to our sovereign King Charles III, his heirs and successors, as a free and franchised person of this borough? Will you preserve the peace and tranquillity of the said borough? And will you disclose to the chair, for the time being, details of any unlawful meetings or assemblies which come to your attention? Will you do all in your power to contribute to the good government and safety of the said borough and the inhabitants thereof? Will you also defend the customs and privileges of the borough in every just and lawful case? So help you God.
I will.
Thank you.
I now invite Mr. Moorsom to sign the roll of honour. So just before we continue to proceed, just a short word from myself. The Honorary Freedom of the Borough is the highest award a Borough Council can grant, and it's not given often. Since 1974, only 16 people of distinction have been granted the title Honorary Freeman of the Borough of Middlesbrough by Middlesbrough Council. It is therefore a great privilege for me, as the recently elected chair of Middlesbrough Council, to take part in such a special event this evening. I'm delighted to meet Mr. Moorsom and his family and to hear about the significant contribution and the commitment he's made to this town, our town. I hope you enjoy the occasion and this honour, which is so well deserved. I now invite Mr. Moorsom to speak.
Thank you. I'd like to thank my friend Tash Warwick, who nominated me for this honour, and to say how I think it's a great privilege, because over all the years I've been involved in local history, 6 decades. I've always said, well, it's only me and it's what I do. And I'm dead emotional. I was first encouraged to work in local history by my first headmaster, Mr. Murray, when I started teaching at Stainsby Boys School in 1962. He said to me, why don't you do a bit on local history? And 60 years on, I'm still doing a bit. And I've always thoroughly enjoyed it. I could say more, but I know that we've got a lot to get through. And so I'd like to thank you all for being here today on this special day and sharing it with me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Moorsom. Just before we start to move on, there's going to be a further opportunity for photographs now. If the family would like to, obviously come out and we can spend some time doing that and organising that, and we can obviously be of service in order to help in any way. Thank you. Obviously, pictures to last a lifetime. I now formally close the meeting. Mayor, councillors and invited guests, you're now invited to join the newly elected Freeman and his family for refreshments in the old fire station downstairs.
Freeman of the Borough, Mr Mayor, councillors, ladies and gentlemen, please be upstanding for the Chair of the Council and the newly admitted Freeman, Mr Norman Moorsom, as they leave the main hall.